Hey everyone, Ronan here, and welcome back to the channel. We got another massive part here today, but before we get into that, we're going to need to shout out the patron as always. So Cam, thank you very much for your support over on Patreon. And also, if you guys haven't already, please check out these analytics right here, and don't forget to drop a like and a comment to help fuel the algorithm for the video. And if this is your first time here, please don't forget to hit the subscribe and the notifications button, so that way you'll never miss another upload from the channel. And if you guys want to support even further, please consider becoming a patron or a YouTube channel member. You get exclusive access to content that I don't post here on YouTube on the main channel, and also you will get early access to all of my other content that I post. But with all that being said, let's get into what if Ash won the Pokemon World Championship Season 4 Part 2, Rivaled Journeys. I hope you enjoy. We begin today's part not with our heroes, but an old man, the one we know as Dr. Fuji. He is on a boat bound for one of the largest port cities in the world, Celestia City. You see, during the events of when Mewtwo attacked the lab on New Island, we thought Fuji had died, but the truth is, something in that moment had spared Dr. Fuji. When the clone tried to strike the scientist down, something deep inside the amalgam stopped it from completing this task. In that moment of hesitation, Fuji could see it. In the creature's eyes was the presence of her. But then Giovanni interrupted them, and Fuji was left to the ruins of the island, as the boss rocket convinced the clone to return to the main rocket base so that way he could attempt to control it. Knowing that Fuji's life would belong to Giovanni if he was known to survive, the old man did what he could to keep his survival hidden from the world, disappearing from society and setting up a place outside of the reach of Team Rocket in the Galar region, awaiting the day when Giovanni would come to seize control of the region. After all, it was the only place that Gio had not gotten a foothold in due to the champion of the time, an undefeated old man that wouldn't let anything threaten his home. Considered by many to be the most powerful champion in the world, even Giovanni wouldn't dare challenge him. But with the addition of Mewtwo to his arsenal, Fuji knew it was only a matter of time before Giovanni would move to the region for its natural resources. After all, the rocket leader had always sought the source of the Dynamax power. However, that day never came. Fuji waited and waited, but Giovanni never made a move on the region due to his exposure to the world as the leader of Team Rocket when Mewtwo had destroyed their base. Knowing that this could finally be his chance to find the clone and get the answers he sought, the old man left his hiding place in the north of Galar. He spent years chasing down the rumors of a Pokemon with abilities that could rival Arceus himself. This eventually led Fuji to the Johto region, as he had heard of sightings in a remote area called Mount Cana. However, by the time he arrived, it was too late. Giovanni had made his move, and his memory had been erased. Fuji was back to square one, and this is how it stayed for many years. But then he had gotten word that there was a sighting of a powerful Pokemon not known to many in the region of Unova, and it appeared in the area known as New Torque City. However, it was saving the city from the attacks of other Pokemon that appeared to be genetically modified. Fuji knew that this had to be another Mewtwo, but there was only one person in the world that could have created them outside of the doctor himself, his assistant, Colorus, the one that had abandoned him in their desperate hour. It looks like no matter how high his integrity was, he still fell just as far as Fuji did. But no matter, Fuji didn't need him, just the clones. But this is when he was picked up by the Black Tulip of Team Rocket, Domino. She had tracked down the doctor at the order of Giovanni after he had slipped up and gotten careless, thinking that the leader wouldn't be looking for him. This led us to the events of Team Rocket attacking the Tree of Beginning. While Fuji was their prisoner, there was one thing that had caught his eye. Giovanni had no idea about the other clone, so that must mean they stayed hidden in the Unova region. That meant there was still hope for the old man. But then he came face to face with his creation at the tree. However, the words that Mewtwo spoke still haunts his mind. I purged myself of that long ago. This broke the old man. It couldn't be. He just wanted to see her one more time. But if Mewtwo had done what it said, then it is a true monster. However, the grieving father couldn't take its words at face value and knew that he needed to speak with the clone once more to clarify on the situation. This leads us up to the current moment as Fuji steps off the boat. He will find Colorus, and by extension the Mewtwo that he created. The old man knows that there's no way she is gone as he begins the long trek to the northeast part of the region, a place called Lacanosa Town. Now we move over to Ash, Iris, and Go. The new trio has moved east of Opelousas City following rumors that the Swords of Justice have been active in the area far more than usual. After Iris reviewed the trial missions that Go was set on, she was was able to determine that there are 4 footprints she is familiar with after her own journey with the Pokédex, but there is a 5th one there that she is unfamiliar with, leading her and the others to speculate that there may be a new 5th member of the Swords of Justice that no one had ever seen before. Iris had been getting reports that they had all appeared around a place called Lakanosa Town, the same place where they had the Junior World Tournament some years back. Ash comments that he remembers that place fondly, but Iris tells the boy that things have changed. You remember when we got there and they had those walls, but we didn't know why? Well, they had been put there in recent years and built up as the residents claimed that something had been attacking them from outside of the town, so they have all but shut themselves out from the world. That's sad, Ghost says. Is there a reason why? Well, I've heard rumors that some people had headed into the giant chasm. Wait, that can't be good, Ash responds. Not after what happened when we ended up there. Go chimes in asking what happened. It sounds dangerous. Iris explains that there is an ancient dragon that lives in the chasm. There are many legends about it, but the one thing that Ash and I know for sure is it seems to possess some sort of rivalry with the swords. Well, what does that have to do with them now? Go questions. Iris continues her story, stating that in retaliation, it's been seeking out anyone it deems a threat and attacking them. That was around the time that the swords appeared in the area, so it can't be a coincidence. I see, Go says. Well, if we head to Lakanosa Town, then there's a better chance that we would find one or all of the swords. You got it, Iris comments. This is where Ash says that maybe they can stop by the Village of the Dragons. Iris responds that she would like that as she hasn't been home since right after she won her championship. I've been so busy battling to become a top trainer in the world that I haven't had time to even think about it. Ash then responds that he intends to have some more battles as well, pulling out his Rotom Foam to see if there's anyone near that he can have one with. But Iris is one step ahead of the boy, as there is already a Rotom Ref hovering above as a random trainer appears, and she tells Ash he snoozed, so he loses. This causes the boy to hang his head as he is forced to watch Iris win a battle and raise her rank. This steals our hero's resolve as he holds his phone once again, but Iris has beaten him to the punch as they continue their trek to Lakanosa. This pattern continues for the next day or so, with Ash just slightly slower than his female rival. Now frustrated as he has been forced to watch Iris in real time raise her score to 332, Ash yells that she won't get the next one, pushing for a coordination battle as Iris is given another win. Finally, some luck smiles upon the boy as his phone signals that there is a trainer about half a mile off the path that has accepted his request for a battle. Ash wastes no time with Riolu and Pikachu in tow, speeding through the trees and bushes just to find this mysterious trainer. Eventually, Ash finds himself in a clearing. However, the person standing across from him isn't someone that he thought he would run into out here. The person he lost to in the Unova League, Cameron. Ash stops dead in his tracks as the two boys lock eyes. He wasn't expecting to see Cameron here. This is where Iris and Go finally catch up. Iris is surprised to see Cameron as well, but this breaks the silence as both he and Ash point with a shocked face, saying, "You're my opponent," in tandem. Ash then asks what Cameron is doing the whole way out here. The boy states that he was on his way to the Village of the Dragons to see the Elder. He's been worried about his Hydreigon as of late because it seems to be really down, so he was hoping that the Elder could help him find out why. This is where Iris, the champion and self-proclaimed Dragon Master, steps in, stating that she could actually help with this. After all, she learned everything there is to know about feeling dragons from the Elder. This gets Cameron excited, as he didn't think that there was anyone else who could help him with this. However, this offer to help is going to be interrupted when a Rotom Ref hovers above, reminding everyone that there is a coordination battle about to happen. Realizing this could be a great chance to see the issues firsthand, Iris tells Cameron to use his dragon in the battle with Ash, so that way she will watch and see what the problem is. Cameron perks up, asking if she's serious, to which Iris nods. This will be a great way to see the problem up close. That way, I can really feel what is happening. Both Ash and Cameron then take their positions as Hydreigon is the first choice from Ash's former rival. As it pops from the ball, Hydreigon looks around as if it was expecting somebody to be watching, but a look of disappointment dawns on the dragon's face, which catches Iris's attention. But she remains quiet for the moment as Ash prepares to make his selection. However, the boy is going to be interrupted once again as Riolu steps forward. The fighting type can see this Pokemon is powerful, and with its link to Ash, Riolu can sense the trouble that the boy has had with it in the past. At first, Ash is a bit hesitant about using Riolu, but this quickly changes when that feeling begins to consume the boy once again. Our hero can feel Riolu's battling spirit. "Okay," Ash says, "let's do this, Riolu." The Oromon wastes no time in jumping in. The Rotom Ref calls for the start of this match, to which Cameron calls for a Dragon Pulse. Ash counters, telling Riolu to use a Force Palm and push its way through the energy bursts. Doing so, Riolu is able to close the gap between the two, only for the Oromon to land a Vacuum Wave. Wave. However, Hydreigon seems unfazed and almost uninterested in the battle, though only Iris seems to be the one that notices this. Well, maybe not the only one, as Riolu seems to be a bit offended by this action, so to make a statement, it launches a Force Palm at Hydreigon, cracking it across its main head. This finally gets the dragon's attention as Ash reprimands Riolu for its unsportsmanlike conduct, but Ash won't have time for his Mon to respond as Cameron calls to a pseudo, but it is unresponsive as the look in its eyes have become glazed over with rage at the cheap shot from Riolu. Iris steps in, telling Cameron that it's gone into a dragon's rage. You will have to recall it in order to calm it down, but unfortunately this won't be happening as Hydreigon ignores the command and shakes off the recall to launch a flamethrower at Riolu. This catches the fighting type fully unguarded, hitting it for a lot of damage. Ash calls to Riolu, but the flames have consumed the first stage, causing the boy to panic, thinking the worst. However, Ash hears it. A heartbeat echoes to him once again. This is where Iris steps in, ready to deploy Haxorus to stop the rampage, but Ash tells her to stop. If she steps in, then the battle will be cancelled. Cameron seconds this, stating that this is the first time in a few weeks that Hydreigon has showed this level of intensity, but Riolu Iris responds. However, this is interrupted when a surge of aura bursts from within the flames. Riolu, it's standing even though it took that attack unguarded. Its eyes are glazed over once more. Iris yells to Ash that this is too dangerous, but then she notices that the boy has been consumed by the aura of Riolu. It's like Ash is possessed. Iris once again yells for this to stop, but he doesn't hear her, commanding Riolu to use a focus energy. Drawing in all of its aura, the first stage prepares to attack. Cameron, on the other hand, calls to his dragon, which to the surprise of everyone, it responds. Smiling, the boy knew that the pseudo was still in there, looking to use this as a moment to grab victory. The boy then calls for a tri-attack, thinking that Riolu won't be able to dodge this with that much damage that it has taken. However, the boy has severely miscalculated the situation as Riolu vanishes at the command of Ash to use a vacuum wave. Suddenly, Riolu reappears above the dragon only to bring down the attack on its main head. However, this still leaves the other two heads free, only for it to strike the fighting type with an electric and ice part of its attacks. Riolu winces in pain, causing Iris to yell for Ash and Cameron to stop. Their Pokemon are pushing themselves too hard, but Go tells her to hold on. They saw this from Riolu once before back in Johto, when it battled Giovanni. It's almost over, and the boy is right, as Ash calls for a final move from Riolu to be able to execute. Being so close to the dragon, a reversal is put into play. Focusing everything that it has into a final strike, Riolu retaliates with everything that it has, sending Hydreigon into the ground. But this isn't without consequence, as it too drops from the damage it has taken. This action breaks the trance that Ash is in, as the Rotom Ref, indifferent to everything that has happened, calls for the battle as a draw. The two boys are a bit stunned, but Cameron recalls his dragon type, while Ash walks out to collect Riolu, though the boy is a bit dazed. The fighting type tries to stand up on its own, however Ash is forced to help it. While Riolu is proud of the battle that it just fought, Ash really isn't. The boy tells it that the cheap shot it laid on Hydreigon was uncalled for. If Riolu wouldn't have done that, then they may have been able to actually win the fight, but instead it sent Hydreigon into a frenzy, and Riolu took a draw because of it. Ash tells the Mon that even though they are opponents in this battle, they need to still show each other respect. This is something that strikes the Mon as odd, as it thought that Ash would have approved of its actions to get the battle going. But Ash tells it there is a time and a place for everything. This was just a friendly battle, nothing more. The cost of winning in this setting isn't something that is all or nothing. Riolu doesn't like Ash's tone here, and chooses to turn its head, showing that it chooses not to acknowledge what Ash is saying here. Realizing that this is getting nowhere and they still have a battle to finish, Ash walks the fighting type back to Iris and Go, and asks them to give it a super potion. Go tells Ash no problem, pulling one out of his bag. As he applies it to Riolu, Go can't help but to think that this is a lot like Raboot and Drizzile, so maybe the way Ash handles Riolu can help him solve the problems that he has been having with his two Pokemon. However, this is going to have to be tabled for later, as Ash is engaged in the battle with Cameron. All the while, Iris is trying to figure out what that feeling she was that she got from Riolu. It was nearly overtaking Ash, and it's not something that she's sure the boy is aware of. Then there's the problem of Cameron's Hydreigon. She thinks she knows what it is, but will wait until after the battle to solve it, as it may be a very simple one to fix. Back with Ash, she tells Cameron sorry for that. Riolu is still a very new Pokemon. It only hatched a couple of weeks ago, so it's still learning things. However, the boy says he understands. After all, doesn't Ash remember who Cameron is, as he holds up his final final Pokeball in his hand, calling on the Pokemon that dealt Ash his loss in the Unova League in the first place, Lucario. This catches the eye of Ash's Riolu, then suddenly flashes appear in its mind once again. Flashes of an ancient battle, a Lucario, and a man that seemed to share the same aura as Ash. Iris catches onto this, and she can feel that Riolu is beginning to become overwhelmed. Something is wrong. The girl puts her hand on the fighting type's head and begins to talk to it. In a soothing voice, Iris manages to talk it down and bring it back to reality, as if Riolu was having some sort of war flashbacks. This causes the fighting type to finally faint from the battle that it just had. The girl is a bit concerned. She can feel the history that this Pokemon has is deep and traumatic, but the girl chooses to keep silent on this for now and lets it rest until she knows more about it and the history that Ash and it seem to share. The Unovan champion then turns back to watch the battle with Ash and Cameron unfold, as he has chosen his Gengar to battle with his Lucario. While it seems like Lucario is an experienced battler, Gengar itself is no pushover, as it's one of the first Pokemon that Ash had ever met. This is proven when Lucario uses a copycat to steal a Shadow Ball from Gengar, so that it can have something to hit the Ghost type with. However, Ash is one step ahead of Cameron, ordering Gengar to fade into the shadows, only taking a bit of damage from the Shadow Ball upon its vanishing. This puts them on high alert, causing Cameron to order his Mon to try and sense its aura. However, Lucario can't get a lock on the Ghost. Gengar seems to be everywhere, causing it to become a bit confused. Smiling, Ash asks Cameron if he's having a little trouble. There is a reason for that. After all their training with Morty, Gengar was able to pick up a few tricks from the leader and his own ace, as it's hiding its actual life force in nature itself. The shadows, no matter how small, are its ally, including the one that Lucario casts from the midday sun. This is when Cameron sees it, but his reaction is too late, as Gengar lets out a hypnosis at the command of Ash that bursts from underneath Lucario, causing it to fall asleep. The last thing it does is try to charge an Aura Sphere before passing out. Gengar then emerges from the shadows to connect with a Psychic that is able to finish this battle in one move, as it is completely unguarded. This results in Cameron losing the battle and the Rotom Ref declaring Ash the winner. The boy is super excited. This is the first coronation battle that Ash and Gengar have won since their loss to B, so this is definitely a time to celebrate. Cameron then walks out to help up Lucario with the help of Ash and Gengar. The boy tells Ash that he sure has grown strong since their last time they battled. While Ash is happy that he won, he tells Cameron that he feels like it was a little one-sided. Cameron's first pick was a little distracted, while Ash's wasn't exactly obedient. Cameron states that they both had a weak start, but they made up for it in the second battle. Gengar is powerful, and Cameron knows that it won fair and square, but he does want a chance to battle Ash again. However, they will have to do it after the boy solves the issue with his dragon. This is where their phones update the ranking. Ash has moved up to 202, while Cameron has dropped to 230. Well, at least it wasn't that big of a drop, Cameron says. This is where Iris and Go join the two, with Iris stating that they will need to have a conversation about Riolu later. She has a few questions about it, but as for Cameron, Iris asks if he has caught any new Pokemon as of late. The boy looks at Iris a bit confused, asking how she knew. Can I see it, she requests. Sure, I guess. Cameron then releases from a Pokeball the dragon Pokemon known as Garchomp. However, it's clear that this Garchomp is clearly the opposite gender of Cameron's other pseudo. Iris then asks if the boy can release Hydreigon, to which he does. Once it emerges, though the dragon is a bit hurt, it is immediately obvious what the problem is with the three-headed Hydra, as its eyes are glazed over in hearts and it immediately begins to fawn for the affections of Garchomp. But the land shark wants nothing to do with it, playing hard to get and turning a cold shoulder. You see, this always happens, Cameron says. I don't understand it. Iris simply tells Cameron that he may be a bit too dense for this type of problem. It's something that only his Pokemon can work out if he can clue in to the matter at hand. But this just prompts a blank stare from the boy. I think that Iris is trying to say that Hydreigon is in love with Garchomp, Go responds. Wait, there's no way, Cameron says, looking at the two puzzled. Iris just facepalms, unsure of what else she can do to help. If their trainer is clueless, then they are both doomed. But as the group laughs at Cameron's cluelessness, something catches the eye of Pikachu and Riolu, the fighting type, as it shoots up with a glowing aura while Pikachu sparks. Pikachu, Riolu, what is it? Ash questions. Then the group looks off in the direction that the two are staring. Something is staring back at them from within the bushes. The group can see the eyes of this thing locked on them. The presence of this Pokemon even has Cameron's two pseudos on edge as they look it down, ready to battle. However, this is only momentary, as a slight head emerges then vanishes in a blur. Wait, is that what I think it was? Ash questions. I think so, Iris says. The group then runs over to the area where the Pokemon had stood. There, on the ground, in some mud, are footprints. Go instantly recognizes them, pulling out his Rotom phone to capture it as one of the ones that he needs to find for his trial mission. I knew it, he says. Virizion was here. But why was it hiding from us? Cameron questions. Go looks closer at the footprints and he can tell that they were in a crouched position. It looks like it was getting ready to attack, the boy says. But why? Iris states that the swords are known for wanting to protect the environment and wild Pokemon from danger. Maybe it was responding to the battle that Ash and Cameron had had. More specifically, the intensity of Riolu and Hydreigon. Ash and Cameron look at their two Pokemon, both realizing that the battle could have been far different from the one that they had. Ash realizes that he needs to work with Riolu. What it did to provoke Hydreigon isn't something that is okay, but he knows it will be a challenge with the past that the two have been forced to endure. However, this is interrupted by Go as he begins to categorize the footprints with photos. The boy snaps away, but as he takes one, he thinks that he sees something in the shrubbery in the distance. Scrolling back to the photos, the boy is right. Hey guys, look at this. Everyone surrounds Go, only to see that they are still not alone. Virizion is around, and it looks a bit angry that they are still here. Iris suggests that they begin to head out. It seems that they are not wanted here, which everyone agrees. So after some final goodbyes between Ash and Cameron, and Go confirming that he had found one of the footprints for his trial mission, they all head their separate ways. Cameron heading to the Village of the Dragons, with our heroes heading to Lakanosa Town. A week later, after much trial and error that really got nowhere with Ash and Riolu, the group finally ends up in Lakanosa Town. However, things are tense. Ash comments that things are far different than the last time they were here. They didn't have the gates locked down like this, and every traveler that comes into the city is looked over carefully. Go even saw some people get turned away at the main gate. In effect, a martial law has been put into place by the authorities until the issues with the random attacks are dealt with. However, just as our heroes are making it through the gate, Ash and Go are stopped when they notice a very familiar looking man trying to enter but being turned away. Ash calls out to the guard to stop harassing the old man. He should be good to be allowed in. He's no threat to anyone. However, the guard doesn't want to budge on this, telling Ash that he will be thrown out if he continues to interfere. Seeing that tensions are running high, Iris steps in, as she is well known in the area as being the champion will do that. She tells the guard that Ash and the old man are both with her, so she will vouch for them. Reluctantly, the Renacop caves and bends to the wishes of Iris, allowing them all to pass. Ash thanks the girl, but she then scolds him under her breath, stating that he has a lot of explaining to do, so he better get started. Don't worry, Iris, I'll tell you everything. But first, let's get away from this area so no one overhears. Dr. Fuji, please follow us, Ash says, as he and the rest of the group head to a nearby cafe that is owned by a trusted friend of Cynthia, though the Sinnoh champion is not in town at the moment. A little bit later, Ash and Go are explaining to Iris about what happened at the Tree of Beginning with Giovanni and Mewtwo, how he got Riolu in the egg, and how Ash suspects that it may be the reincarnation of the Lucario that helped save the tree in the first place. But the fighting type doesn't hear that part, as it is too busy stuffing its face with food and ignoring Ash, since they have been in a disagreement since the battle with Cameron. This is where Fuji explains that he is the one who created Mewtwo, and he has been looking for the clone ever since that day. There is something that the doctor has to know, but this just leads to more confusion to the situation. Iris asks why Fuji came to Unova looking for Mewtwo. The doctor explains that he had heard of the events that happened in New Torque City. Even some of the news coverage shows a Pokemon that looks suspiciously similar to his creation. Ash and Iris both look at each other as Fuji continues. He knows that it wasn't the one he created, so there is only one other person in the world with the knowledge to create a Mewtwo, his former assistant, Colress. This causes Ash and Iris's jaws to hit the floor. Colress? The same one that worked with Team Plasma to take over Unova, Iris yells. Fuji hangs his head in a bit of shame. Yes, he was my assistant and helped with a lot of the early work in Mewtwo's creation. He's the only other person in the world, except for me, that knows how to clone a Pokemon. I assumed that he was the one who created those metal bug-looking things that attacked New Torque City, and since he was from Lakanosa Town, I figured that he would know how to find the other Mewtwo. Nodding that it's time that they both came clean about what they know. Everyone except Riolu focuses in on what Iris begins to say, stating that it was a Mewtwo that saved New Torque City, but after that, they don't know where it went. She hasn't seen any sign of it, nor the Genesix since that day. Well, knowing my old assistant, I'm sure that he has a way to track them down, so all I have to do is find his place of residence, and I will get the information. About that, Iris says, because Colress was an accomplice of Team Plasma, he was taken into custody. He hasn't been seen since that day, and I'm afraid that his location was never made public. It's like they locked him away and the rest of Team Plasma and threw away the key. Not even I, as the champion, know where they're keeping him. This causes the old man to hang his head in sadness. His last lead just went up in smoke, like his labs so many years before. Ash and Go can see this and want to help the old man, so Ash pleads with Iris if there's anything that she can do as champion. The girl states that this was an international incident, so it was handled by Interpol. Powers only extend to Unova, but there may be something she can do. A few years back, she helped Looker stop some of the stragglers of Team Rocket that were left in Unova. They have kept in touch ever since then, so maybe if she reaches out, Looker can help with this task. Fuji immediately perks up, hope filling his eyes once more. Now, I can't promise anything, but I will make the call, Iris says. Fuji thanks the girl for showing pity on an old man. Even if it leads nowhere, there is still hope until the last road is traveled. Standing up with a smile, Iris says that she'll be right back. She then takes her leave to make the call to Looker, hoping that she didn't just lead the old man on. While this is happening, Go and Fuji talk, as the boy has wanted to talk to somebody that is considered to be an expert on Mew in the world, as he wants to catch it one day. Fuji is fascinated by this, but starts the conversation by asking Go why he wants Mew. The boy goes on to explain the situation and how he's trying to become a chaser for Project Mew. Oh, so Amaranth finally got his organization off the ground. Fuji explains how he knew the Doctor and their extensive history. While this is happening, Ash decides that he's going to make a call to Professor Oak. The boy wants to change out one of his team members, mainly Crocodile, for another one of his Unovan Pokemon, the water starter Oshawott. Ash tells the Croc to train hard with Infernape, as he's sure that he will be calling on her again real soon. Ash then hangs up and rejoins Go and Fuji, as Iris does. The girl says that she was able to get a hold of Looker. While he would like to talk with you, he can't meet with you just yet. Looker gave Iris one instruction for the old man: stay in Lakanosa Town. He will contact Fuji when the time is right. While the old man doesn't want to wait, he has nothing but time on his hands, so he decides to check into a hotel in the middle of the city, so that way he will be easy to find. As for Ash and his friends, they spend a couple of days in Lakanosa Town trying to get any word of anyone that has seen the Swords of Justices around in the surrounding area, but their leads are all dry for the most part, leading Ash and Iris to just have a couple of days of practice battles to pass the time. During this, Ash tries to work with Riolu, but it's still being stubborn, thinking that it knows best. It doesn't see any folly in the way it battles, and the concept of sportsmanlike behavior is foreign to the first stage. The way Riolu sees it, if they battle, then the opponent must be down, and they need to take any opening they can get to get the job done. However, the reason Ash called Oshawott was to try and teach Riolu some humility, as the water starter had to learn this during their time in Unova. This is shown in their practice battles, which the otter is able to best Riolu most of the time, even doing so with minimal effort or force. This causes a little rivalry to form between the two, as Riolu keeps thinking about the battle that Infernape and Crocodile had. The fighting type wants to have something like that. No holes barred. All out. That is how a fight should be, but Oshawott keeps beating it with minimal effort. This continues for the next week, until the day comes when Go runs ecstatic into the Pokemon Center, declaring that he finally got some news. There were sightings of a strange Pokemon on Route 13. It was said to have big horns and have different shades of brown. Go then pulls out his Rotom phone, showing off the Pokemon Terrakion. I think the one that is being described is this one, he says. It sounds like it, Iris responds. Well, it looks like we'll be heading out first thing, Ash states, so we should get some rest. However, this falls on deaf ears for Riolu. Frustration has been a driving force for it, as it can't beat Oshawott, and it's not Ash's Pokemon, so it can really do whatever it pleases, even though Ash tries to get it to take a break, though Riolu ignores it in favor of training. The next morning before they leave, Go, Ash, and Iris all check in with Dr. Fuji to make sure that the old man is alright. He tells them not to worry about him. As long as Giovanni doesn't come for him again, then he'll be fine. Ash lets out a nervous laugh, knowing that the Rocket Leader is still out there somewhere, but he tells Fuji that he hopes he will find what he is looking for. Then Iris, Go, and Ash begin their trek down Route 13. the trio is in good spirits, with Go having found one of the 5 footprints that he was looking for. Things start off good as Ash and Iris do their best to get whatever training they can while they search for Terrakion and any coordination battles. However, in this area, they seem to be non-existent as the whole pathway has been hit with a series of seismic tremors as of late that have made the whole route a dangerous place to travel. While this does lead them into a couple close calls, it's nothing that the group can't handle. This leads us into day 3 of their travels, where Go is exploring a local ridge just above a clearing that Iris and Ash are in with their Pokemon. They are practicing as Ash and Iris wait for any potential coordination battles as their Rotom phones search for opponents. This leaves Go to his own devices as both Raboot and Drizzle are walking at a very slow pace behind the boy. Go is doing his best to try and get the two involved with his mission, as this is something that they have been waiting for. Well, he has been waiting for. But they both show little interest as Raboot doesn't really care, seemingly more interested in the nature around it, while Drizzle is more engaged with its own self-pity more than anything. This causes Go to get a bit frustrated with the duo, stating that this is what they have been after, and he doesn't know why that they can't at least pretend to be excited. But nothing changes, causing Go to turn and begin to walk backwards as he scolds the two that continue to ignore him. While this is happening, down below, another sparring match is going on between Riolu and Oshawott. The two are going at it, and Riolu is showing that it's starting to gain the edge on the water starter, as it's been increasing its strength through defending itself from the Hydro Pumps and Razor Cells of Oshawott. But when Riolu uses a vacuum wave to deflect the Hydro Pump into the cliffside, it creates an unstable footing that Go and his Pokemon are now walking on. This results in the ground beneath the boy giving way as his two starters watch Go fall seemingly to his end. Though this is a dangerous event, it does finally prompt another emotion out of the two as they show concern for the boy. Down below, Iris can see that Go is in trouble and she prepares to send in Dragonite. However, before anyone can react, help emerges in the form of an Espeon that stops Go from falling with its psychic abilities. The boy looks around as he sees another Pokemon, a Flareon, using its flamethrower to solidify the mud that is falling. Then, finally, a Glaceon freezes the goop, bringing it to a full stop at the feet of Iris and Ash. The two rush to Go's side to make sure that he is alright. However, he is fine, as his two Pokemon join their trainer out of concern, showing Go that they do actually care about him, just they don't know how to show it. But Go is more concerned with all of these evolutions and where they came from. Ash comments that it's weird that they would all be out here just helping random people. Iris wonders if they are wild or if they have a trainer, but they won't have to wait long as a voice calls out from the cliffside asking if everyone is alright. Looking up, Ash and Iris see a very familiar face as the former winner of the Unova League and Pokemon Ranger, Virgil, stands above them. It's here that the Ranger realizes who he is actually talking to. Iris, Ash, what are you guys doing the whole way out here, he yells as he descends down to their level with his Pokemon. Ash introduces Virgil to Go and says that he was the winner of the Unova League when Ash competed here. This gives the boy a chance to thank Virgil and his Pokemon for saving him. The Ranger smiles, though staying humble, stating he didn't do anything. It was all of his Pokemon. He then restates his question of why they are in the area. This is where Iris explains that they have been going on and how they have been trying to help Go find this 5th mysterious member of the Swords, to which he then asks if Virgil has seen Terrakion, as that is one of the ones he seeks at the time being. Virgil says that he has many times. It is the reason that all of Route 13 is in ruins. The Ranger says that he doesn't know why Terrakion has been so aggressive lately, but it has been chasing away anyone it deems to be a threat in the area. So he and the other Rangers have been looking for people that get trapped in the area to help them get to safety. This is where Ash questions how Virgil found them. Simply, he says, holding up his phone, "I accepted a coordination battle that led me to you guys." This causes both Iris and Ash to pull out their phones, only for Ash to realize that he had finally gotten a battle. "Finally," Ash yells, "a strong opponent." However, the boy is going to have to put the brakes on as Virgil tells Ash that the only reason he accepts the battles in this current time is to find people. He didn't actually come here to have one, as he thought it was an emergency. This causes Ash to beg and plead with the trainer to have a battle with him. They never faced each other, so it's only fair that they do it now. However, Virgil declines, stating that he has work right now, and the safety of people is way more important. However, the Ranger is going to get his excuse dashed as the group is joined by his brother Davy. The Ranger was off helping some others, but was finally able to catch up to Virgil. Davy states that Virgil should have the battle. They have been on so many calls as of late that he hasn't had much of a chance to gain any rankings in the coordination series. Virgil tries to refuse this, but his brother states that they don't have any calls right now, so he should take a break and have some fun, have a battle or two, it won't kill you. If we get any calls, then we will stop right away and we will go help whoever is in need. It's at this point Virgil realizes that he won't be able to get out of this, so he turns to Ash, who has been standing there shaking in quiet excitement. I guess we'll have a battle, the ranger says. Ash lets out the biggest yell, as he was hoping that this would happen, as a Rotom ref hovers above. This is where Ash finds out that Virgil is number 163 in the world rankings. The ranger has been busy, and what Davy said was the truth, so he stopped to save people on the route. The excitement begins to build in Ash, as he knows that if Virgil hadn't stopped, then he would be a much higher ranking. This is where they find out that this will be a 2-on-2 battle. The rules are the same as always. Both trainers need to make their choices first. This is where Riolu steps forward, thinking that it'll get a chance to battle here, but Ash tells him that he won't be using it this time. Riolu hasn't been focused as of late, and until it can learn proper battling etiquette, the fighting type will be reduced to practice battles. Riolu doesn't like this and tries to protest, beginning to argue with Ash, but our hero's mind is made up. Ash tells it to just watch. Maybe it'll learn something by watching others for once. Reluctantly, it sits down on the sidelines with its brooding business partners, Raboot and Drizzile, forced to watch all of the fun unfold as Ash makes his first choice, declaring, Talonflame, I choose you. Virgil is quick to answer this with his first and oldest Pokemon, calling upon his own Umbreon to start the battle. The Rotom ref gives the signal to start, and Ash wastes no time calling for a flame charge to begin a snowball effect. However, as the bird speeds in, Virgil demonstrates the reason why he is a former champion, calling for a flash that blinds the bird. Ash tells it to pull up. Unfortunately, Ash can't see anything, and the bird scrapes its belly along the ground. This gives Umbreon an opening, to which at the command of its trainer, the dark type jumps on a Talonflame in an attempt to ground the bird. Ash yells for Talonflame to feel the air around it. Being a flying type, it can detect the current changes as the paws of its opponent begin to make contact. Now, use acrobatics, Ash yells. Suddenly, the fire type vanishes as it connects with a massive amount of damage as Umbreon is unable to guard from this attack, sending it into the ground. Talonflame takes back to the air, putting distance between the two, but this is a mistake as Virgil calls for Moonlight to recover some of the health of Umbreon. Realizing they need to go big, Ash calls for another flame charge while the dark type recovers. Umbreon is forced to take the hit, allowing Talonflame to burst back into the sky, awaiting Ash's next command. Wanting to keep the stat increases going to counter the health recovery from Umbreon, Ash commands for a Steel Wing. Virgil is ready for this, calling for a Dark Pulse that Umbreon spreads across the battlefield, forcing Talonflame to evade as it speeds down. This forces the bird into an awkward position as it dodges each ring of darkness, but Virgil has been lying in wait as he once again calls for a flash. Umbreon prepares to fire the attack, but Talonflame is able to close the gap. With the dark energy at its back and the brightness on the front, the bird charges its wings and throws caution to the wind as it collides with Umbreon in a flash of light and dark energy. Both trainers are forced to watch until the light dissipates, only for Talonflame to lie in defeat. However, Umbreon is hurt, winces, and almost falls over from the attack it took head on. A bit bummed, Ash recalls his mom, as Riolu gives the boy a look almost to say that it wouldn't have happened if it was the fighting type that had battled. However, Ash ignores this and recalls the bird, thanking it for all of the effort that it put into the battle. Virgil decides that he's going to keep Umbreon in, as he still has a Moonlight to extend the ability of this battle. All the while, all of its EV partners cheer on from the sidelines for its victory. Virgil comments that Ash is a good trainer, but he hopes that his next choice will be able to carry him to a second battle. Smiling, Ash tells Virgil that he has just the Mon, as he declares, Oshawott, I choose you. The water starter pops from its ball, ready for a battle. It's been showing a lot of urge to battle as of late, so Ash wants to use that to his advantage, as he needs it to carry them to a finish. But there is a secret motivation behind this choice. Ash is hoping that Oshawott will be able to motivate Riolu and show it how to act in battle. Respect for an opponent is key to becoming stronger. If they don't have that, then they will lose every time. All the while, from the sidelines, Riolu is stewing that Oshawott got a chance to battle. But this is something that they will have to address later, as the call to begin is given. Virgil knows that they have to get some health back, so he calls for another Moonlight. However, there is a reason that Ash chose Oshawott, as he calls for a move to end this now, Aqua Jet. The otter surrounds itself in water and speeds across the battlefield, throwing caution to the wind in order to even the playing field. This allows it to land before the Moonlight can take effect, and Oshawott hits Umbreon with enough force to send the Dark type into a tree, knocking it out. This leaves everyone in awe at the power that has been demonstrated. However, Oshawott isn't done impressing everyone, as it begins to glow. Suddenly, the first stage grows in size as it takes on its second evolution. evolution in Duat. Ash can't believe this. He didn't think that it was ready to evolve. However, this turn of events results in two things. One, a slight personality change in Duat as it seems to be a little bit more aggressive, signaling that it wants to start the next battle already. And the second thing is that Riolu is left completely shocked and jealous that Duat just widened the gap between the two. And just when the fighting type was beginning to learn how to counter the water type, Riolu suddenly has an intense focus on the battle as it wants to see what Duat can do. Impressed at Ash's choice, Virgil recalls Umbreon, thanking it for the battle and the effort that it put in. Well, Ash, this is a rare incident that I find myself in. I don't think anyone has ever evolved in a battle against me. However, I find it very interesting. You see, one of my Pokemon recently evolved, and it hasn't had the chance to battle. So, we are in the same boat, as I want to test its new power. This is where Virgil calls on his final evolution, Sylveon. Wait, is that who I think it is? Ash questions. Yep, the Eevee that won me the Virtuous Conference finally evolved, and this was the evolution it chose. So, are you ready to see who can master their new evolution first? Smiling, Ash says that he was hoping for a test, as the Rotom Ref gives the signal to start. Wanting to maintain a distance until he knows exactly what they're dealing with, Ash calls for a Hydro Pump. However, Virgil figures something like this was coming, so to minimize the damage, he calls for a Light Screen to cut the damage in half. Ash can see that Virgil is going to play this very defensively, just like with Umbreon, so they have to go on the attack. Not wanting to disappoint, he commands for an Icy Wind from Duat, but this is countered by a Magical Fire that prevents any damage to Sylveon. Virgil comments that Ash is being really cautious. He didn't think that he would get a battle like that. The Ranger was hoping for something a little bit more head-on. Well then, don't let us disappoint you. Duat, use an Aqua Jet. Smiling, Virgil thinks that's more like it, as he commands for a quick attack that is able to counter with the damage to both of the Mons. However, Ash is one step ahead, looking to close the gap for his true intentions, commanding a Hydro Pump to cause greater damage with there being little distance. But Sylveon is able to use its ribbons to bind Duat's hands and prevent the attack from being launched. This isn't good, Ash thinks, as his Mon is then hit with a Draining Kiss that heals Sylveon. Knowing they need to counter this, Ash orders Duat to use an Aqua Jet and try and break the grip. Virgil commands for Sylveon to dig in. Don't let them gain any ground. What follows is a tug-of-war that sees the two trying to change the current status of the battle, but this is when Ash reveals his true intentions, calling for Duat to rush Sylveon. This allows one major thing: the tension in Sylveon's grip is loosened, allowing Duat to reach for one of its shells. Then it happens. The water type uses its newest attack, an Aqua Razor, to slash at Sylveon as it passes by. This was powered by the Aqua Jet, so the increased chances of a critical hit happen as it drops Sylveon, brings this battle to an end. This leaves both Virgil and Riolu speechless, as they didn't think that one strike could end this. Ash celebrates with Duat. Wow, you've gotten so much stronger. I can't wait to see what else you can do. It's here that Virgil joins Ash with Iris and Go. The Ranger shakes Ash's hand as Sylveon praises Duat. They are glad that they got a chance to have a battle here today. It's been a while since they could just cut loose, but it was very much needed. Smiling, Ash hopes that Virgil will keep climbing the rankings so they can battle again. This is where Davy cuts in, telling Ash that Virgil plans to join the Masters 8, so he's sure that Ash will get a chance to see him again. But this is when the radio of the Rangers go off, as a shaking can be felt from the east of the group. Well, it looks like we have to get back to work, Virgil says. I'm sure we'll battle again. The Ranger then tells his evolutions that they have to go. There is someone else in need of help, and they are the only ones that can do it. All of them cheer as they run off following their trainer. Ash watches on, then looks at Duat. It looks like our work has only just gotten started. The water type nods and glows in a brief blue aura, signaling that it's ready for whatever challenge that may come its way. However, Riolu isn't so confident in this. The Oromon is wondering if it will be able to truly become strong, not because it learned anything from the battle it watched, but because everyone is growing much faster than it. However, its inner thoughts are going to be interrupted when Ash asks if it learned anything, but the fighting type remains silent, leaving Ash to question if any progress was actually made. However, those thoughts are going to be interrupted when those seismic tremors suddenly become a lot more real, as Iris points out that the ground is beginning to shake harder and harder. This puts them all on edge as they look around, thinking that they are about to be attacked. This is when a cry rings throughout the area. Then another mudslide happens, forcing everyone to jump and dodge out of the way. Once the earth stops moving, everyone looks around to where they were just standing. There, towering above them on the cliffside, Terrakion looks down at the group. It seems to be angered that they are in the area for some reason. So, in order to give a warning, it stomps hard, causing another slide to happen. Then, in a flash, it's gone, leaving everyone to wonder why it was so aggressive towards them. Knowing this is his chance, Go rushes up to the top of the cliff. Terrakion stomps stomps so hard that it left its footprints in the rock. Go immediately scans them and adds the photos to his trial mission. 2 down, the boy thinks. But as he smiles, Iris yells that she thinks it's best if they move on. It's obvious that Terrakion doesn't want them here. Go agrees, and they all recall their Pokemon before making ground to the site of their next stop. However, as the group moves, Riolu hangs back. It thinks that these Pokemon they have encountered are really strong and resolves to challenge the next one they come across. But its daze is broken when Ash yells for it to hurry, or they will leave without it. Turning, it rushes to catch up as it joins the conversation with Ash and Iris. The boy reveals that the battle with Virgil allowed him to move up to 168. Man, it seems I need to find some new opponents, Iris says. You're starting to get too far ahead of me. Ash smiles as the group continues their way on to their next stop to resupply, Humalao City. This is where we are going to change over to Dr. Fuji. It has been a week since Ash and the group left Lakanosa Town, and the old man has had no other visitors. This has caused him to become very stir-crazy, so the old man has gone out to explore the town during the daylight hours to prevent the boredom and bad thoughts of his past from taking hold. Though the town is on high alert due to the attacks that they have endured as of recent, Fuji finds that this place is a bit charming, as once you break the tension on the surface, the place is full of people that have love for life. But they've been forced to give it up for the security and well-being of everyone. However, even this task has become futile, as there is no changing their behaviors until the problem is dealt with. So, the old man keeps to himself. On this day, Fuji is out buying some much-needed groceries for his small room that he has been renting. The old man is once again finding himself trapped in his thoughts of the past as he heads up to the staircase of his lone room. The man ascends the stairs, beginning to think that this person that is supposed to meet with him is never going to come. It's getting to the point that Fuji is considering moving on out of here, as there is nothing in this town or anyone that knows of Culrus, almost like he never did come from here, or he was a different person in his life before their experiments. The old man then enters his room and puts down all of his stuff that he had bought as he sits on the edge of the bed. Letting out a deep drawn sigh, Fuji speaks out loud, stating that it's time for him to move on. No one is coming. However, the silence in the room is broken with a very stern voice from within the shadows. The old man can see a figure in the dark. His first thought is Giovanni, but the voice tells him that he has no allegiance to Team Rocket, so he can rest easy. Well, who are you? The man then leans forward from the shadows and introduces himself as Looker, the one that Iris had told Fuji about. The Interpol agent then asks one question: why do you seek Culrus? And be honest, as I will know if you're lying. Fuji goes on into their history of the two and how they work together. He then explains what brought him to Unova and how he seeks the Mewtwo that appeared in New Torque City. The old man even goes as far as to say if Looker knows where it is, then he won't need to talk to Culrus. Just point him in the right direction and Looker will never hear from him again. However, the Interpol agent then stands up and walks to the window, only to peer out. You know, information isn't free, and what you ask is a big favor. If I were to help you, then I would need something in return. A bit hesitant, Fuji asks what Looker would want from him. The PI looks at the old doctor. I assume you have heard of the organization known as Plasma, the one that your assistant used to work for before he became one of my many guests? Yes, I have, Fuji says. I know a great deal about them, as when I worked for Giovanni, he kept great detail on their activities, just in case he ever needed to use them for one of his own selfish needs. Well then, it appears you may be of more use to me than I had hoped. We have been trying to find Giovanni for some time. While that is a concern, it isn't an immediate one. Looker then places a file on the table in front of Fuji. I have reason to believe that Plasma is trying to make a comeback in Unova. We've discovered what could be links to the events that have been happening in the areas around Lakanosa Town that could be connected with Plasma, and I believe they are planning something big, but the issue is their leader is in my custody, and the rest of the organization has gone underground. So we have hit a metaphorical wall in Leeds, if you will. With a quizzical gaze, Fuji leans forward, stating he doesn't understand how he can help Looker. While I know about Plasma, the info I have on them is years old. Very outdated, Fuji responds. That is where you are wrong, Doc. Your presence actually gives us the possibility to crack this thing wide open. You see, the current info we have on Plasma says that some sort of grand plan is in the works, something known as Project G. What we have uncovered is that it is tied to those things that attacked New Torque City. However, it appears that they were only the first part of the plan, but then something happened that I suspect wasn't in the plan. They were activated, and Team Plasma had lost years of research when they escaped. While that seemed like a good thing on the surface, as the plans died when Genesect became free, some recent rumors of Project G has begun to surface in the shadows of the underworld. It is my belief that Plasma, or what remains of it, has plans to complete the project. This is a terrible thing, Fuji says, but how can I help? Peering out the window, Looker states that he has no idea where Plasma currently is, or operating, or where the Genesect are. But there is one thing that he does have: Culrus and Getsus, the Plasma leader. While the old man is less than talkative, Culrus does enjoy a good conversation. However, when it comes to Project G, he seems to lose the ability to speak. I think if the right person appeared in front of him, then he would want to talk. So you want to use me as bait, get him to spill what he knows on Project G, and I can get the answers I want from him? You got it, Looker responds. It's that simple. Well, what if I can't get him to talk, Fuji asks. Then I'm afraid that the region will be in worse danger than it currently is. While Fuji doesn't like being used as a pawn, as it reminds him of his days with Giovanni, the fact is, this is something that needs to be done. I'll do it, the old man says. When do we leave? Right away, the G-Man responds. Looker then pulls out a phone from his jacket and makes a call. While this is happening, on the roof of the building across from Fuji's room, a shadowy figure speaks over the radio. Master Zenzolan, we have the location. Now we shift to Humalao City. We are about a week removed from the battle with Virgil. Ash, Iris, and Go are at the Pokemon Center getting their Pokemon checked up on. The reason for it is because Riolu has been pushing itself way too hard. It seems to have made Duat its unofficial rival as Ash's current roster, and it is doing everything that it can to battle the mid-stage. Duat is happy to keep battling as it wants to test its new power as well. However, this does have a negative result that Nurse Joy points out to Ash, scolding the boy for letting his Riolu take so much damage. Why doesn't he recall it into a Pokeball so it can rest? However, it's Iris that clears things up, stating that Riolu doesn't actually belong to anyone, so there is no Pokeball for it. Ash has just been looking after it, until the fighting type either decides to leave or that it wants to be captured. While Joy can understand how difficult fighting types can be, she still cautions both it and Ash against pushing too hard. The fighting type may hurt itself. However, Riolu isn't listening, as it is distracted by what Iris said. When it chooses to leave, is that really an option for it? Looking at Ash, Riolu thinks about this long and hard. This is where Go comes up to the two, very excited. He had heard a rumor that there was a sword known as Cobalion, and it's somewhere east of Humalao City. That meant that Go is even closer to his goal than they had thought. While Ash and Iris are excited for the boy, the fact is that they have been on the road for a while, so they both point this out to Go that it is very beneficial for the group to just wait a day. The boy turns to Raboot and Drizzle in hopes that they will back his claim. However, this is met with the same response that it always gets, in an I don't care attitude. Some help you two are, Go states. Being outnumbered, the boy relents with a sigh. Fine, we will stay for only one day. Excited that they get a chance to rest, Iris asks what they should do. It's here that Go suggests that they explore the city. There's a lot to check out here, since Humalao has the only real tropical climates in all of Unova, so it offers a lot to see. Ash and Iris are both game, as they all take off to explore the city. Before they head out though, Ash decides that he wants to make a quick switch for one of his Pokemon, so the boy calls Oak and has the old man send over his Gabite for Talonflame. With that business done, they head out on another adventure. However, as they get outside, there is something that catches the group's eye. Off in the distance on the mainland, a nasty storm is beginning to brew. Iris suggests that they get what fun in that they can for the day, as they may not have a lot of time to do so. With that attitude, they all take off in the city in hopes of finding a good place to eat. A little while later, after a meal, the group is out for fun in the sun once again. Iris tells Ash and Go that she didn't know about this place the last time she was here, so she's glad she decided to stay. This is where Ash questions if Iris battled the gym leader of Humalao. She states that she did. Marlin was really strong, but she was able to win, though she didn't have a chance to stick around as the league was only a week from the time that she had won the battle, so she had to hurry. Good thing too, as if she would have stayed, then she may not have become champion. But this is when it dawns on Iris. Ash, you never had a chance to battle Marlin, did you? The boy says no. They watched Cameron's battle, but he had his 8 badges when they were here, so there was really no need. Well, I can tell tell you that Marlin is in the World Coordination ranking, as he is the only other member of the Unova Gym Challenge that is currently registered aside from me. It's here that familiar look in the boy's eyes return. It's the exact reason Iris suggested this in the first place. You think he will have a battle with me? Ash questions. Only one way to find out, Iris responds. Ash immediately takes off for the gym with Iris and Go in tow. Right behind them is Drizzle. However, there are two that seem to have a slight delay. Raboot and Riolu. They are both looking at each other before Riolu turns and takes off in the opposite direction. The fire type watches as Riolu disappears around a corner. With a shrug, it simply turns and casually follows its trainer to the place that they are headed. A little while later, Ash and his friends find themselves at the Humalao gym. This place throws Go off a bit, as it's just a battlefield situated on the water. Yeah, Marlin is like that. He's a very free spirit, Iris says. Well, where is this Marlin? I thought he was a gym leader, Go responds, but then a voice rings out asking if he had heard someone calling his name. Turning, they see Marlin swimming just offshore. Iris waves to the leader, asking him to come in so they could have a battle. Once Marlin realizes that Iris is the one requesting it, he wastes no time coming to shore. Hey Iris, long time no see. It's been a while, the champion comments. Marlin then asks if she really came this whole way to battle him. Well, she didn't, but they were in town and she suggested that her friend Ash battle Marlin since they never had a chance to do it when he was here the last time. The leader looks at our hero for a moment. Wait, I remember you. Didn't you win a regional championship in Alola? Ash nods, saying he did. Marlin is excited. He's been there before and loves the region. It's so laid back. He will gladly have a battle with their regional champion. Ash thanks Marlin for the battle, but the leader tells him not to be overconfident. He's pretty high in the rankings, to which Ash finds out firsthand when viewing the leader's score. A very commendable 128. Marlin walks to his side of the gym, asking if this will be okay for a battlefield. Ash says he has no problem with this. Well then, let's get started, the leader yells as a Rotom-Ref hovers above and signals for them to prepare their Pokemon so they can get started. This will be a 2-on-2 and there will be allowed substitutions. This is when Iris and Go take their seats to watch. Go then turns to see his Pokemon only to realize that Raboot is just now joining them. While he finds this strange, Go tells them they should watch this, especially Drizzle. With Marlin being a water type trainer, they could learn a lot from him. However, this gets the response Go was expecting as the two just stare off into the distance. Over with Ash, he tells Marlin that he will bring everything that he has as the champion of Alola, so he hopes that the leader is ready. Marlin smiles as he calls on his first choice, the fish known as Basculin. Ash, I wouldn't have it any other way. Ash then prepares to call on to his first choice, and he looks for Riolu. However, the boy looks around to see nothing. While this doesn't concern Ash, the fact of the matter is, he's been expecting it to happen. The boy figures that it's probably off training and will show up after everything is over. However, Iris is a little concerned, as she can feel the emotions of the first stage. While she doesn't leave the battle, she begins to contemplate where it could have gone. But her attention is drawn when Ash declares, "Do what? I choose you." The two trainers give their first commands as the once sunny day slowly comes to an end, with the storm that was over the land now finally making its way to Humalao. However, this doesn't detour the battle, as the first attacks that are launched are simultaneous aqua jets that collide in the middle of the water. While this is happening, we shift perspectives over to the edge of Humalao City as we follow up with Riolu. It has made great distance and is looking to separate itself from any attachment that it has had to Ash and his friends. The boy just doesn't flow well with the idea Riolu has of what a battle should be, so this is the best for everyone. However, something happens that stops the Oromon in its tracks. For whatever reason, it can feel that something isn't right. Then it looks up at the storm that is moving into the city. Riolu can't explain it, but there is a rage that is deep within those clouds, but it's unclear why. However, there is one thing that Riolu does know. They are headed for Ash. At first, it turns away, as the boy is no longer his problem, but for some reason, Riolu can't bring itself to leave. It's like there's something holding it there, a greater purpose that it has yet to become aware of. Reluctantly, the fighting type turns and heads back into the city, though the reasons why seem to escape it at this moment. The only thing Riolu knows is that it can't let whatever this feeling is cause any harm to Ash. However, just as it vanishes, above the city in the tail of the storm, a very familiar ship is tracking the phenomenon, waiting for their chance to strike. This brings us back to the battle with Ash and Marlin. Things are in full swing. Duat was able to take down Basculin with an aqua cutter. Then it put up a valiant valiant effort against Jellicent, but ended up falling short to its energy ball. This left Ash with no choice but to call on his oldest partner, Pikachu. This is where we find them currently. Though Pikachu has the type advantage, it's having trouble with the Ghost Fish. This has put Marlin in a comfortable position as he uses the energy ball to counter Pikachu's electric attacks, then recover and Scald to deal damage while maintaining the battle in their favor. Ash has found himself in a very compromising position. Even Marlin can't see a way out for the boy. However, Ash isn't worried. Marlin, you said you wanted to see all the power I have as the Alolan champion, right? The leader looks at Ash a bit confused, but says that is correct. Smiling, Ash then reveals his Z-Ring. Then you should know what this is. This gets Marlin a bit excited. He had heard about these and only ever saw one move being used, though it was from afar. Now he will get a chance to see it up close and personal. The leader tells Jellicent to brace itself. They only have to survive the one attack. The truth is, Marlin is right. Pikachu ended up getting a burn from a Scald it was hit with, so the mouse is on a clock. However, with the storm now circling above them, Ash and Pikachu begin to glow in a brilliant energy as their movements become one. The last thing Marlin sees is electricity filling the area as Pikachu begins to rain down the power of Alola across the battlefield to bring this battle to a close. From down the road, Riolu can feel this power and stops as it begins to shake in its presence. Ash and Pikachu hug as Marlin recalls his now fried seafood. Well, I asked for it, he says. This is when the Rotom Dex is updated and Ash's rank moves up to 134, while Marlin's drops to 162. Ash is super happy as he and Pikachu celebrate their win. However, this is going to be interrupted when the storm above begins to rage and the wind picks up. Marlin suggests that they all get inside before things get really bad. However, this won't be possible as a swarm of Cragnole descend from the cloud and use an ice beam to blanket everything in their path. This freezes everyone in place as another ice type, the one known as Baratic, comes crashing down with an icicle crash that strikes Pikachu. The mouse is knocked out cold as Ash yells for it. The boy demands that these Pokemon stop attacking them. They didn't do anything. However, this is when a voice interjects. I'm afraid that isn't true. This is when Zinzolin makes his appearance known, and the Plasma Freight descends from the sky. You have done great harm to Team Plasma, my boy, and we are here to take our revenge. Zinzolin then picks up Pikachu and jumps back on his hovercraft, heading back to the skybound ship as Ash screams for him to bring back as Pikachu. And this is where we are going to leave things for now. So tell me, how did you enjoy this part? Did you like the battle that Ash had with his former rivals? What is the reason the Swords of Justice have been so aggressive to humans? Did you enjoy the evolution of Dewott? Why is Team Plasma tracking Ash, and what are their intentions with Pikachu? What was the deal with the storm that Team Plasma used as cover? And lastly, will Riolu set aside its own pride to come to the aid of Ash? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below.